Federal government declares state of emergency on food security. President Tinubu assures of his administration's resolve to take the country back from economic sabotage.
We are taking our country back.
Plus, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority suspends operation of Max Air's Boeing 737 with immediate effect. Hello and a warm welcome to wherever you're watching us to NTA Network News. We are live in Abuja. I am Jummai Yusuf. Hingino John Adams joins me from Lagos. Thanks for joining us. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website at www.nga/live, ng.ng, and any of our social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Now, the federal government has declared state of emergency on food security, declaring all matters pertaining to food and water availability and affordability as essential livelihood items be included within the purview of the National Security Council. State House correspondent Abdulrahman Usman Jibrila reports, but it will come in our subsequent bulletin. The current administration is ready to take the country back from enemies of state sabotaging the nation's economy and stability. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made this commitment as he received his party's women leaders from across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. State House correspondent Musba'u Dawahab reports.
Tinubu, I guarantee you, through the power of the Almighty, we will deliver as
engrossing moments as women took their place in the struggle, or to convince Nigerians about the qualities of Bola Tinubu, the then candidate of their party.
Women of Nigeria played a very, very prominent and critical role towards achieving this victory.
Now, time to savor the moments of realization of aspiration, perhaps beyond expectations, or filled with sense of fulfillment.
The latest chairman of ECOWAS,
by names reign, and the president could not help but acknowledge the eulogies. In his appointment of personal advisors and aides so far, President Tinubu has reflected respect and consideration for women and their ability. And here is to say thank you. We believe you do more as the progressive women identify with the president's decision so far and pledge support.
every single day we wake up with pride. Before this time, we used to be the ones to go to the TV stations and the radio stations to scream Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the best man for this job. We're happy that today, as we speak, they go to the TV and say, we never knew he was like this. We never knew he had a potential.
You all deserve gold medals.
Grateful hearts, President Tinubu appreciates his support base. Again, he acknowledges the economic situation as brought about by the fuel subsidy removal, but he believes the women understand better.
You are the one who understands the labor pain. That is only after that pain you see the smile of a child that you are relieved and forget the pain completely. And that's what we are going through economically. You are the one who can educate better the public to understand that we have to go through this. Cartel and thieves have been raping also and fleecing this country before now. You say enough is enough. We are taking our country back.
President Tinubu rededicates himself to total service for the good of the nation and its people. He says this will manifest in improved security, food security, healthcare, education, and economy, while also protecting the democratic rule and its principles.
The unity of this country is essential and is very constant in my mind.
Without any question,
he represents not just a dispensation governmentally, but a transgenerational dispensation for Nigeria and Nigerians.
You can see the excitement in him. He's ready to work. And that's the kind of leader Nigeria wants at this present time.
And we believe the way he has hit the ground running, there is hope for this country.
Today, we are heading to the highest point.
We believe in Mr. President, and we know that Nigeria is in for a renewed hope now.
He's shown leadership, and it's left for us to join and show great followership and do our little bit to fulfill all those dreams. I mean, we're all excited. Indeed, our hope is all renewed.
They have worked for the emergence of Bola Tinubu as the president, but they say the work is not over yet, as they will continue to mobilize support for the government of the day to succeed. From the State House, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
Thank you, Musbao. The federal government is to take advantage in leading the Pan-African Agency for the Great Green Wall towards implementation of the project direction before the expiration of tenure in December 2023. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this at the launch of the 2023 Great Green Wall Day held at the Presidential Villa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Osman Jibrila reports.
Our temperatures are becoming extreme. Our rivers are drying up. Our wildlife has become endangered, and our forests are thinning out. We are not only at the mercy of a wall with inadequate green landscapes, but we are also forced to migrate towards greener pastures, literally. This frightening reality is why we are gathered here today. This is what has inspired the Great Green Wall project.
Vice President Kashim Shettima restating government's commitment in complementing the existing techniques, strategies and approaches to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the Great Green Wall afforestation and reforestation program.
I appeal to all of us to see this initiative as an emergency rescue operation. We inherited a dream that we can't afford to relegate, because doing so isn't even an option. Our predecessors were aware of the danger ahead, and the burden is upon us now to pursue this mission as a life-saving mission.
The completion of the project was a promise made by the Tinubu administration in the campaign manifesto to guarantee food security and prevent climate-induced migration.
I wish to inform this gathering that we are strongly committed to ensuring that the mandate for which the National Agency for Great Green Wall was established by the federal government are pursued vigorously within the framework of the available resources to meet nationally determined contribution and reduction of greenhouse emission.
The program has also provided job opportunities for young people and women in rural communities towards improving their economic conditions. From the State House, Abraham Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
To legislative matters now, Senate has confirmed the appointment of Major General Christopher Musa as Chief of Defense Staff in line with the request of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It also confirmed Major General Taurid Labaja, Rear Admiral Emmanuel Ogala and Air Vice Marshal Hassan Abubakar as service chiefs for the Army, Navy and Air Force in that order. The confirmation followed a 3-hour screening held behind closed doors. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
Invite the newly appointed service chiefs and other
in line with Senate standing rules, a motion was moved to usher the top brass of the armed forces into chamber. They briefed the Senate on their career progression and pledged to meet national expectations of ensuring security and defending the nation's territorial integrity when confirmed.
The armed forces shall continue to serve the Nigerian people dutifully and in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and other extant provisions of the laws of the Federation.
Senate granted speedy approval to the federal government to secure an $800 million loan facility from the World Bank to fund social safety net program, as communicated in the letter read by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, at the commencement of Thursday's proceedings.
The purpose of the facility is to expand coverage of shock-responsive safety net support for the poor and vulnerable Nigerians. The federal government of Nigeria will transfer the sum of 8,000 naira
per month to 12 million poor and low-income households for a period of 6 months, with a multiplier effect on about 60 million individuals.
Senate also gave accelerated passage to President Tinubu's request to amend the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act by extracting 500 billion naira out of the 819 billion naira for the provision of palliatives to cushion the effects of subsidy removal.
The president wants money in order to mitigate the pains that has come with the removal of fuel subsidy.
Let's then target food subsidy, transportation subsidy, medical subsidy, things that will clearly touch the poor man. This request of 800 million safety nets from World Bank has been on ground before coming on board. And what we've just done is to formally legalize it.
Senate has adjourned plenary to Tuesday, 18th July 2023. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Now let's bring you the story on the presidential intervention on food security, food pricing and sustainability. Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila tells us more.
Food security, the federal government has lined up a number of initiatives to be deployed in the coming weeks to reverse the inflationary trend and guarantee future uninterrupted supplies of affordable foods to Nigerians.
Now, as a direct and immediate response to this crisis, a number of initiatives will be deployed in the coming weeks to reverse this inflationary trend and guarantee future uninterrupted supplies of affordable foods to ordinary Nigerians.
Part of the discussion we've had in our interaction is that going forward, most especially on those trucks that carry food and all those items that are basic needs, it will become illegal for any state actually to continue building roadblocks to collect that. That's why we have the only person is Customs Services that is responsible to charge whether excise duty or import duty. So no other place in the Constitution is allowed to actually building those illegal roadblocks.
With immediate, medium and long-term interventions and solutions, the federal government intends to deploy savings from the fuel subsidy removal into the agricultural sector.
We will immediately release fertilizers and grains to farmers and households to mitigate the effects of the subsidy removal. 2, there will be an urgent synergy between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Water Resources to ensure adequate irrigation of farmlands and to guarantee that food is produced all year round.
Part of the interventions include support to the National Commodity Board to review and continuously assess food prices, as well as maintain a strategic food reserve that will be used as a price stabilization mechanism for critical grains and other food items.
Through this board, government will moderate spikes and dips in food prices. To achieve this, therefore, we have the following stakeholders on board to support the intervention effort of President Tinubu: the National Commodity Exchange, seed companies, National Seed Council and Research Institutes, NIRSAL Microfinance Bank, Food Processing / Agri Processing Associations, private sector holders and prime anchors, smallholder farmers, crop associations, and fertilizer producers, blenders, and suppliers associations, just to mention a few.
The government will also engage security architecture to protect the farms and the farmers, as the central bank will continue to play a major role of funding in the agricultural value chain.
There is currently 500,000 hectares of already mapped land that will be used to increase availability of arable land for farming, which will immediately impact food output. Mechanization and land clearing. The government will also collaborate with mechanization companies to clear more forests and make them available for farming.
Part of the strategies is the involvement of 11 river basins to ensure planting of crops during the dry season, with irrigation schemes that will guarantee continuous farming production all year round to stem seasonal glut and scarcity usually experienced.
The concessionary funds will ensure food is always available and affordable, thereby having a direct impact on Nigeria's Human Capital Index. Our president is the president of all Nigerians and the father of the nation. The renewed hope mandate remains alive, and no one, absolutely no one, will be left behind.
From the State House, Abraham Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
You're welcome back. The House of Representatives has approved President Tinubu's request to spend 500 billion naira from the 2022 supplementary appropriations of 819.5 billion naira. Now the money is to provide palliatives to Nigerians to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal. National Assembly correspondent Mitere Ikpe tells us more.
Giving approval at the Committee of Supply, the House was unanimous that the President has, through his request, demonstrated a human face, calling for judicious application of the palliative funds.
There's nobody in this House who is not feeling the impact of subsidy removal. And I think it is a credit to the executive that they are responding to the cries and yearnings of the Nigerian people.
Just let us allow this to pass, but we must be very vigilant in course of implementation and execution of the palliative.
This money is not a freebie. It's not going to be as usual. We have a man that is from the private sector, a man who has a policy drive that is channeled towards bettering the lot of Nigerians.
Is it going to be applied to transportation? Is it going to be applied to healthcare? Is it going to be applied to providing food or feeding or increase in wages?
People should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it.
Meanwhile, a fresh request from the President sought approval for $800 million loan from the World Bank for the National Social Safety Net program.
Under the conditional cash transfer window of the program, the federal government of Nigeria will transfer the sum of 8,000 naira per month to 12 million poor and low-income households for a period of 6 months.
Several investigative motions were adopted by the House and referred to relevant committees.
Need to investigate the allegation of abuse of tax incentives, tax breaks, and tax waivers by public institutions and companies benefiting from tax incentives.
Investigate the untold hardship faced by Nigerian pilgrims at the recently concluded 2023 Hajj.
14 bills passed first reading as the House adjourned to Tuesday, 18th July 2023. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
And Nigerians are commending President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's request for legislative approval of 500 billion naira as palliatives to cushion the effects of the removal of fuel subsidies on citizens. Our business correspondent Bozade Abel has been talking with Nigerians about their expectations.
Fuel subsidy. Unfortunately, the budget that I've glimpsed before I assume office and what I've heard is that no provision is there for fuel subsidy. So fuel subsidy is gone.
This statement sparked reactions from long fuel queues to prices of commodities and increasing transportation, as the outcry from citizens also got louder. Now the case seems different, as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is urging Nigerians to exercise patience as the framework for palliatives to ease the hardship brought on by the petrol subsidy removal is being worked out.
The request has become necessary in order to, among other things, source for funds necessary to provide palliatives to mitigate the effect of the recent removal of fuel subsidy on Nigerians. Thus, the sum of 500 billion naira only has been extracted from the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act.
What do the people want from the 500 billion naira?
the best way to disperse the money is to go in for the purchase of trucks, buses. Like sometimes we have air-refied buses that are still there. Some of them can be refurbished and put to use, while brand new ones are brought in.
I would have admonished the federal government to pull all those resources towards our refineries, thereby making it to work and bring out the best of what we have within our locality.
So my expectation is let Tinubu put eye and let him put a committee that will monitor the payment.
One of the most important area where this should go into is transportation logistics. Now, because moving goods from one point to another because of the fuel price, so goods and services have actually, the price of goods have actually gone up a whole lot. This would actually help to bring down the price of food in the market.
The president has also reminded Nigerians that the decision was in the best interest of the country and assures of a more prosperous future. In Abuja, Bosede Ebo, NTA News.
Thank you, Bosede. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has suspended the operations of all Boeing B737 aircraft type in the fleet of Max Air with immediate effect over safety concerns. In a letter signed by the Director of Operations, Captain Ibrahim Bello Dambazo, the NCAA expresses concern over several safety issues with the aircraft lately, which include loss of number 1 landing gear at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, and aborted takeoff at Malam Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano, due to high exhaust gas temperature. The letter says the authority has begun an audit of the Max Air B737 fleet. And Benny Adams is here with business news. Benny, tell me, is it bearish or bullish in the market?
Well, it's bearish for now, but we hope it's going to get bullish. Welcome to business. Tax experts under the support program for tax transition in West Africa are asking Nigeria to increase the value-added tax from the current 7.5% to a minimum of 10% in line with ECOWAS directive. While emphasizing the need to harmonize Nigeria's VAT Act in compliance with ECOWAS directives, they opine that increasing revenue does not stop with increasing rates, but by ensuring VAT is a broad-based tax and everyone pays.
Even though our VAT revenue has been increasing from 2011 to 2021, the efficiency of the revenue has been decreasing. So something is wrong.
And there is a change in the realities and business dynamics. So we need to begin to look at the tax policy vis-a-vis the reality of the times that we are in. So calling for a review of the tax policy is not a misnomer.
They also recommend a shift from direct taxes to indirect taxes and limits to tax exemptions for improved revenue. And moving on, the Nigerian investment company Honeywell has acquired additional share in FBN Holdings, the parent company of the oldest bank in Nigeria. In a statement, the company says the acquisition, which was completed through its affiliates company Barbican Capital Limited, moved its stake in FBN Holdings to an impressive 15.1%, while describing the move as a significant step towards value generation. Honeywell quoted analysts that it is the largest single transaction in 2023 in which it acquired more than 4.7 billion additional shares on Thursday, July 6, 2023. The statement further explained that Honeywell has notified FBN Holdings PLC and regulatory authorities of the acquisition, which it purchased in addition to previously disclosed interest by HGL's affiliates. As of today, the Honeywell has purchased shares worth more than 105 billion naira through negotiated deals in its 50 years of existence. The managing director of Honeywell Group, Obafemi Otudeko, in a letter to the chairman of FBN Holdings, published by This Day on July 10, 2023, stated that, and I quote, "Honeywell Group Limited is a dedicated long-term investor committed to investing in great businesses with immense growth potential. Our approach involves working closely with stakeholders with a shared vision to foster the creation and enhancement of value for all. We understand that this requires time and patience. We intend to follow its approach regarding our investment in FBN Holdings, an iconic institution we greatly respect and with which we have a deep and long-term relationship as customers, investors, and board members. This international and gender-based theme comprises more than 60 years of active investment and banking experience with leading international firms, including Dresdner Klonwort, Wasserstein, Standard Chartered, Standard Bank, and Dutch Bank. 50 years of Honeywell Group Limited, professional accounting experience, including with PricewaterhouseCoopers and Baker Tilly, and 60 years of legal experience, including Bentley Edu & Co., Alex and Banwo and Igadalu. We bring this breadth and depth of experience to bear in our investment activities. And now to the markets. Nigeria's equities market decreased further on Thursday by 2.03% as investors continue to take profits on recent gainers, especially banking stocks. At the end of today's trading session on the exchange, a total of 798.5 million shares in 10,296 deals, corresponding to a market value of 10.4 billion naira, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 31% decline in volume, 18% decline in turnover, and 26% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 34.2 trillion naira. United Bank for Africa recorded the highest volume of traded shares, followed by FBN Holdings and Transcorp Nigeria. Well, that is business news. Network news continues with Jummai.
Thank you, Benny. Thank you, Benny. And we're still talking business as the acute cash scarcity of currency being experienced in Maiduguri has continued to be a source of worry to residents and to authorities concerned to address the challenge before it cripples economic activities in the state. Abubakar Musa reports. Okay, now the Department of State Services confirms that the suspended CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele has been charged to court in compliance with the order of FCT High Court. A statement by the DSS spokesperson Dr. Peter Afonaya says the service had in 2022 applied for a court order to detain him in respect of a criminal investigation. Though Mr. Emefiele has obtained a restraining order from an FCT High Court, the service, however, arrested him in June 2023 on the strength of suspected fresh criminal infractions and information, one of which forms the basis for his current prosecution. The service assures the public of professionalism, justice and fairness in handling this matter and indeed the discharge of its duties within the confines of the law. Now, a federal high court in Abuja division has dismissed a fundamental rights enforcement suit filed by the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, against the Department of State Services. Justice James Omotosho, in a statement, held that Kanu's suit lacked merit and ought to be dismissed. In the suit, the IPOP leader alleged that the DSS subjected him to different inhuman treatments while in their facility or any time he appeared in court for his trial, as well as breaching his right to liberty by torturing him. However, the presiding judge, Justice Omotosho, held that the right to human dignity is contained in Section 34 of the 1999 Constitution, but that Nnamdi Kanu could not substantiate with evidence his claims of being tortured in DSS custody. Neither can he claim in the Constitution. With the plaintiff's lack of evidence to support his claims, Justice James Omotosho consequently dismissed the case for lacking merit. Another court of coordinate jurisdiction had earlier dismissed a similar suit filed by Kanu last year. Meanwhile, while even in its final details are being worked out, the Renewed Hope initiative of Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, is already active, living up to its promise of providing a new lease of life to vulnerable members of the society. 57 families affected by the June 23rd flood in Treadmoor Estate, Lugbe, are the first beneficiaries as they took delivery of palliatives from the initiative. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports that wife of the Vice President, Nana Kashim Shettima, presented the palliative on behalf of the First Lady.
The flood of June 23, 2023, which ravaged Treadmoor Estate in Lugbe axis of the Federal Capital Territory, grabbed national attention for the huge tolls it took on properties after claiming one life. Out of the 2,000 homes located within the estate, not less than 57 were severely affected. The cry of the victims for relief has however caught the attention of Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, who is using the platform of her pet project, Renewed Hope Initiative, to reach out to them with palliatives. Her love, empathy, and message of hope to the flood victims was conveyed by wife of the Vice President, Nana Kashim Shettima, who handed cash gifts to them under the auspices of the Renewed Hope Initiative. While urging the victims to remain strong in the face of adversity, the First Lady also appealed to them to retain their trust in the current administration as it works to set the nation on the path of recovery.
We all know that flood is a natural disaster, and I want to seize this opportunity that we should not allow the flood to flow away our trust and confidence. We should keep hope alive.
Applauding the First Lady and her initiative for bringing government and relief close to the flood victims, Chairman of Treadmoor Estate, Lugbe, said the gesture had rekindled hope for affected residents.
At last, help is on the way. At last, government is ready to do something about this. Because as far as we are concerned, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President visited us today. Yes. That's what we're taking home. And we know and believe in this government that they will do what they say they will do.
Before departing, wife of the Vice President was also conducted on a short tour of affected parts of the estate. From Treadmoor Estate, Lugbe, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
It's time now to join Hingino, John Adams for more on NTA Network News from Lagos. Hello, Hingino. To join Hingino, John on NTA Network News from Lagos.
Jummai. With the focus more on prevention than enforcement of laws against financial crimes in the country, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, recognizing the importance of the media in this new trajectory of sanitizing the nation of financial crimes, has organized a workshop for journalists in Lagos on financial crimes reporting. Larry Bilei joined other journalists in the workshop and has details.
For the media to step up their game in being a watchdog fighting financial crimes in the country is what birthed the workshop. This was echoed by the acting chairman of EFCC, Abdul Karim Chuko, whom the zonal commander of the commission in Lagos represented.
The role of the media in the fight against economic and financial crimes, including corruption. Without doubt, the media's ability to inform and sensitize the people on the ills of corruption and economic crimes is crucial to us.
The interactive forum gave room for journalists and the facilitators to rub minds on issues such as understanding new money laundering laws and new trends in cyber crimes.
So the workshop emphasized on the importance of investigative journalism in financial crimes, and this way it will be exhaustive. It will even set agenda for the EFCC.
Adequate investigation about operators that are questionable. People that you cannot adequately identify their means of livelihood and their building estates.
Participating journalists said the workshop has challenged them in financial crimes reportage.
We've been told to further educate the public that they should always keep, particularly those running businesses, to always keep records of their transactions.
We have learned the techniques
they use. So when we're writing our report, we will know how to, explain in vivid terms what they are about.
Journalists and facilitators agreed that investigative journalism will do more in educating the citizens and ensure synergy between media and commission in curbing financial crimes in the country. In Lagos, Lanre Bileyi, NTA News.
Turning to the aviation sector, embracing the culture of reciprocity while equally backing up policies with support that will enable indigenous airlines thrive in the global market are some of the agenda the aviation industry is proposing to the federal government. Michael Olaleye reports that stakeholders are equally calling for the reversal of the 40% remittance paid to the government from the internally generated revenue of agencies to enable them fulfill their mandate.
A new chapter is set to be opened in the historical compendium of the aviation industry, but behind the scene are more reality checks which key players say revolved around the circumstances surrounding the concessioning of some airports and the many unanswered questions generated by the unveiling of a national carrier. In an attempt proposing the content that should dominate the new book, stakeholders say the federal government should give more support to airlines flying the Nigerian flag, while efforts should be made in reviewing the Bilateral Aviation Safety Agreement, BASA, which allows for mutual cooperation in areas covering airworthiness, flight operations, and environmental certification.
Government must review this BASA. Government must enforce reciprocity before they start talking about repatriation of funds.
To also stop foreign airlines from flying multiple entry points into Nigeria because they are taking away our businesses.
Apart from the business aspect of airport operations, others suggested development of infrastructure with attention given to upgrading of air navigational system and remodeling of airports to meet global needs.
We should no longer have reasons to close our airports for VIP movements. Technology has made it easy for you to know when a VIP is traveling and create a corridor or a window within the airspace infrastructure where they will not be interrupted.
Is this 40% removal from the IGR of the agency? I think the new regime should look into that by way of finding ways to reduce it.
While hoping that the federal government will investigate the $500 million loan obtained for the construction of new terminals at some airports, the stakeholders suggested a 25-year strategic plan which will put into consideration infrastructural and human resources requirements for the industry. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time now for some messages. The news will be back shortly.
Account. For more information, visit www.zenithbank.com/betterlife. Live the better life with Zenith Bank.
Thanks for joining us, and you're watching NTA Network News. Let's bring you the earlier read report on the acute cash scarcity being experienced in Maiduguri. Abubakar Musa tells us more.
What you see at the ATM point behind me is a true reflection of what you will see in most ATM points across the expansive city of Maiduguri. Some financial experts and owners of businesses in Maiduguri are attributing the phenomenon to a number of factors that need to urgently be addressed.
There is this policy of cash light, and central bank have implemented in some areas where people only access for an individual 150,000 daily and then 3 million for corporates.
Our cashless policy was very okay, was very good, but inability to implement it successfully was what led to the cash crunch.
In Maiduguri, no single bank you go to the ATM you see cash. You go inside because you are banking with them, they would still tell you no cash.
You can't come to the ATM and take the money. Must be from POS, and the POS even they will dodge you.
A visit across ATM points show customers in a state of desolation owing to the obvious emptiness in most of them, a situation they variously describe as not befitting of a business-oriented city like Maiduguri. More problematic is the development, such experts believe, for the fact that even the state's IGR is grossly affected. Well, given all that, the hope and prayer on the lip of an average Maiduguri resident is for those concerned to urgently address the anomaly so that the ATM points once again become functional. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Musa, NTA News.
Thank you, Abubakar. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has poured encomiums on Nobel laureate and elder statesman Professor Wole Soyinka on his 89th birthday. He describes Soyinka as a veritable source of support, inspiration and encouragement. In a statement by his special advisor on special duties, communications and strategy, Dele Alake, President Tinubu says Soyinka is a brother and comrade in the struggle for the restoration of democracy and good governance in Nigeria. Similarly, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu celebrates the wife of General Overseer of Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Folu Adeboye, for her virtues, devotion to her highly respected husband, the church and family values on the anniversary of her birthday. Mrs. Adeboye, who is reputed for her evangelical work with children, young people and the downtrodden, turns 75 today. Now, the federal government has refuted rumors of plans to increase the cost of obtaining citizenship expatriate resident alien card, SEPAC, from the current cost of $2,000 to $3,000. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Interior, Dr. Oluwatoyin Akinlade, in a statement said the attention of the ministry has been drawn to a report on the social media misinforming the public of a proposed cost increase of obtaining SEPAC. The statement wishes to clarify that the information is not from the ministry and has urged relevant organizations and the general public to disregard it. We'll take another break. We'll be back soon.
2 to 74 points defeat to defending champions Democratic Republic of Congo in the quarterfinal. In football, Nigeria has been placed in Group C after preliminary draws for the 2026 FIFA World Cup were conducted in Abuja, Cote d'Ivoire on Thursday. The Super Eagles are up against South Africa, Benin Republic, Zimbabwe, Rwanda and Lesotho as they begin their journey to the first ever 48-team FIFA World Cup in USA, Canada and Mexico. Elsewhere, Interim Management Committee of the Nigeria Premier Football League has expressed optimism on the capacity of Nigerian club sides to excel in CAF competitions. Chairman of the IMC, Davidson Owumi, in an interview with Sonny Ubo in Abuja, assured on adequate support for Eyimba, Remo Stars, Bendel Insurance and Rivers United as they set to commence preparations for continental engagements.
Until we are able to get the system working and stabilize it, then we begin to think of trophies or laurel.
The kickoff of the new 8-team African Football League has been confirmed for October 20 by FIFA President Gianni Infantino, who made the announcement at the Confederation of African Football CAF General Assembly in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. The competition has been drastically scaled back from the original 24 team as earlier proposed by CAF. And in tennis, unseeded Czech star Markéta Vondrousova produced a dominant display as she beat Ukrainian Elena Svitolina in straight sets 6-3, 6-3 in just 1 hour and 14 minutes to secure a spot in the Wimbledon final for the first time, where she will play Ons Jabeur, who defeated Arena Sabalenka 6-7, 6-4, 6-3. With sports update, Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
Death has been announced of Pa Israel Sylvester Salupi of Ovu Inland, Ethiopia, East Local Government Area of Delta State. Late Pa Israel passed on the 5th of June 2023 at the age of 104. He was a community leader who lived an exemplary life to the benefit of his people. He is survived by many children and grandchildren. Funeral activities begin today and the deceased will be laid to rest on Friday, 14th July at his residence, Ovu Inland, Ethiopia, East Delta State. And that's NTA Network News. Thanks so much for watching. I am Jummai Yusuf.